Hello again, friends. I'm glad we're back together. I'm excited to share with you a little bit about alpha readers. Yay! But first, can I just be really honest with you for a minute? This week has been very rough to my writing ego, and I've just been feeling really, really defeated. I've been full of doubts. I've been full of questioning myself, trying to figure out if I'm doing the right thing. I've been asking myself who I think I am, that I could be doing this, that I could be writing what I'm writing. Like, who do I think I am? What kind of knowledge do I think I have that I could share with people? And so it's just been a really defeated week. But in spite of that, I have persevered. It's what we do, right? It's what we have to do. We just have to keep going. But what I ended up doing is I found some verses in the Bible that talked about how God has a plan for all of us. And then my friend Katie sent me this really beautiful excerpt from a book she's reading called Never Unfriended by Lisa Jo Baker. I'll have a link to how you can get this book if you want it. But I just want to read this excerpt that she sent to me, and I'm going to look at my computer so I can read it exactly correctly. What she said is, there's enough work in the kingdom for everyone. What she's doing, what they're hosting, what your Instagram and Facebook friends are experiencing, that's their piece of the kingdom. That's their plot of land, and they're supposed to be working at it faithfully. But you have your own spot in the kingdom garden. You have your own soil waiting for seeds and seasons and harvest. No one can do that secret impossible that you've got your heart set on in the way you can, because you are the DNA of that dream. The Holy Spirit is in you. Even if you and a friend both started with the exact same premise, you'd end up glorious worlds apart, as distinct as your fingertips, because you are. What God gives you, He gives you on purpose. This season is not an accident. You haven't missed the boat. You aren't in a maze. You are just limited by your ability to see. Faith makes us sure of what we hope for and gives us proof of what we cannot see. But the God who planted that dream, He isn't limited by sight. Right? We are all doing just what we're supposed to do. And I lost sight of that this week. But I'm trying to get myself back on track, and I'm trying to see how I'm supposed to fulfill what only I can do. So there's some encouragement for you if you needed that, and I just needed to get that off my chest too. So without further ado, on to talking about alpha readers. I'm only going to talk about alpha readers in this video, so you'll have to tune in next week when I talk about beta readers. What is an alpha reader anyway? Does anyone even know the answer to that question? Aren't they just the same as betas? What's the point of having two different kinds of readers? Alphas are pretty simple, actually. Their job is to point out glaring mistakes and let you know if the overall concept works or doesn't work. Pretty easy peasy. Some people will tell you that there is absolutely no difference between an alpha reader and a beta reader, and that they just do the same thing. I happen to disagree with those people. I think that alpha readers and beta readers have two very distinct purposes and can give you two very distinct pieces of information. I believe that alpha readers are extremely important in the Bible study writing process. They are the first people to see your manuscript. In fact, they might even see the Bible study as a whole unit before you do, if you're anything like me, and just see it in bits and pieces as you go along and never actually read through the whole thing before you send it off to your alphas. They should be asked basic questions like, does this work? Does this make sense? Do these transitions work? Do the scriptures complement my point? Do these examples work? They're going to be the ones that tell you that the example you used was awkward and they didn't like reading it, or when your point needs a clarifying example. It's definitely possible to go through this process without having alpha readers, but I would not recommend it. They see things that I wouldn't see, and they make sure that my betas get the best possible version of my study. which ultimately makes the life and job of my beta readers much, much simpler. So how do you go about engaging an alpha reader? How many do you need? It's easy to think that you should have a bunch of alphas, but don't give in to that temptation. The more people that you think about for alpha readers, put them on your list for your beta readers. Engaging an alpha reader isn't that hard because you only need one or two. Think about some people in your life who are trustworthy, who have a brain, and ask them to take a look at it. I like to use Google Docs to share my content with my alphas so that they can look at it at their own time, on their own pace, and we don't have to worry about shuffling papers back and forth. I don't have to worry about making sure I get that next email out. I just share the doc with them and they can pop in whenever they want, and they can also comment directly into the Google Doc, which is wonderful. So excited I found the comment feature. I like that we can go back and forth, commenting, clarifying, editing, and rechecking, all while staying in the same document. I just love Google Docs. Now let's talk about some of the not so pleasant stuff. Sometimes your alphas tell you things that you really don't want to hear. And if you're anything like me, it kind of hurts your feelings. You kind of take it personally. It's normal. It's normal to do that. And it's normal to feel maybe angry or sad or, like I was talking about earlier, just defeated and feel like you want to give up. Don't. Feel the feelings that you feel. I feel like that should be in a Dr. Seuss book. Feel the feelings that you have, acknowledge them, validate them, but do not act rationally on them. Yeah, it sucks having people critique your work. It sucks when they point out that it sucks. However, you need to remember that they are helping you out. They want your work to be good just like you do. So while you might want to lash out and let some of that hurt out onto them, do not do that. Always treat your alpha and beta readers with the utmost respect and courtesy. They are doing you a huge favor and you want to be nice to them. If you get mad every time they give you honest feedback, pretty soon you're not going to get honest feedback from anybody and they're not going to want to work with you because you're being a jerk. I force myself to thank them right away for their feedback, even if I can't promise that I'll do anything with it. I make myself thank them anyway. This is why I highly, highly recommend finding alphas that are close to you and that are trustworthy. That way you can fall back on their character and know that they're not saying things to hurt you. They just want to help and they want your project to be good too. This is the secret to keeping engaged alphas. Graciously receive their feedback, thank them often for their time, appreciate them. If that means getting them a little gift when you're done, then so be it. Do whatever you can to treat your alphas really well. I know that it's hard to be in the position of an alpha or a beta reader because the temptation can be really strong to be nice and to not want to hurt their feelings. Alphas feel terribly conscientious about their lack of anonymity, and they don't want to hurt you with their feedback either. This is why it's so important to take the time that you need to process the feedback and be able to receive it as graciously as possible. I have been known to sulk for a day, just one day. Okay, maybe longer. Anyway, I've definitely been known to sulk for a day, consider abandoning my writing career, and all sorts of other silliness that comes with receiving tough feedback. However, I always come back to my senses. Gratitude and maturity open the honest feedback loop, and honest feedback is the only way your manuscript gets better. No matter what, remember that they are not emotionally invested in this project like you are, so their feedback is a lot closer to the truth than you might initially think. So if they tell you that the entirety of chapter 6 is terrible, you should probably just scrap the whole thing and start over. I know, it sucks, but that's what alphas are for, and that's why we appreciate them so much, because you would hate to send out a terrible chapter 6 where 30 betas, or like 15 beta readers, tell you that it's terrible. I'd rather hear it from one person than from 15. That would suck. So remember, treat your alphas well, and everybody wins. Yeah. As always, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Carrie Jellick Author. I have a complimentary blog at carriejellick.com where you can check that out. I post videos on Tuesdays, blogs on Wednesdays. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. Be sure to subscribe if you like this so that you can get more info. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!